Welcome to the Rock Round Deliberation.
Okay, first of all, since we're four, is anyone skipping voting voluntarily?
Yeah, because I've not listened to it anywhere near as much as I normally would if I knew I was voting, so mine are probably less informed.
There we go, okay.
So is everyone ready to post their votes?
No, I don't want to.
This one was tough.
Yeah, I waited until like the last hour to get my final decisions. So they're pretty much interchangeable to me. Is everyone ready to post?
I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
Okay. What?
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, me and Mark are...
Mark, I'm actually really glad you're not voting this time because what the hell?
Heck?
What the hell?
Wow, Mark, that's interesting.
Yes. Anyway, I guess it's time to find out who our semi-finalists will be. Andrea, what the hell is with your place? That's crazy.
Wait.
Well, no, yeah.
Really?
No, it's not that crazy.
You do know that they're gonna be going, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So while
He's like...
So while Mark is counting the votes, I guess we should just start with Scott then, because he's kind of a hot button here. So Andrea.
Yeah, we don't agree.
Yeah, please explain.
Oh boy. Okay, well, this literally is the round that I was waiting for when it came to Scott. And I thought it was a chance for him to really come out and really rock. And I thought he was going to bring it. And I thought it was going to be this amazing moment for him. And then he picks a really risky song. And a song like this, you really have to be like so dead on point. And I just didn't feel it. I don't think like the high parts, I don't think were quite where they needed to be. I don't think the transitions I think they sounded a little awkward where I didn't feel the vibe. I just did not feel it. I think it was the wrong song choice for him. He wasn't getting the notes the way he should. He was a little strong in some places where he could have pulled back and built up more. I just couldn't feel it. No.
I completely disagree with you. I think he's such...
Of course you do. Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Absolutely I do.
I mean, come on. Would it be Monday if you didn't agree with me? I mean, disagree with me. Come on.
He is such a fun artist. I adore him.
He is. No.
There
Don't
is so
get
much
me wrong.
energy in this song, and he has an amazing range.
No,
please
do not get me wrong.
Do not interrupt me, Andrea. You always interrupt me. Shut up.
I know, but I'm just saying you're acting like I said that he's not, a good performer. I don't just say that he's not entertaining. I just don't think that the song was on point. And this is not just an entertainment thing. This is also a singing competition.
Okay, it wasn't on point throughout. I mean, one lift in the beginning ended kinda sharp, and to be honest, that falsetto made me laugh at first. But then I realized that takes quite a bit of control. So overall, I'm still very impressed. And he is one of our most versatile singers.
Yeah,
and I think...
we'll have to agree to disagree there.
I will never do that.
Nick, you get in on this. What do you think?
I mean, I'm with Petri on this one.
Yay!
I really liked Scott's performance, and there may be a little bit of bias because this is one of my favorite songs of all time. But I feel like I was a little bit more skeptical with his performance because I love this song, and he didn't really try to make it his own. I thought he might have tried to give it a little bit of a twist because he kind of kept that somewhat comical vibe with the delivery because it's a very whimsical kind of song, especially with those falsettos. And I thought that some of the climbs up from his head voice right to that high falsetto, I thought that it was a little rough around the edges, but I still thought that it was really good. And I enjoyed what he did with the backups. I really appreciate when the singers take time to go and record those backups and those harmonies for themselves. And I did have some issues with the mixing. That's a lot of the things that I kind of picked up on this round was some of the mixing. I felt like he kind of buried the music for his performance. And especially with the rock round, it's so detrimental that everything is in sync from the instruments to the vocalist as an entire piece, as an entire performance. And it sounds like he just kind of wanted his voice to stand out way above the music, and that's not really what rock is about. So that's kind of one big critique that I had with his performance. But overall, I gotta side with Petri on this one. I really liked it.
Well, then you are officially kicked off the judging table.
First song.
Let's bring Mark back.
Sorry, Andrea, you don't have that power. I mean, I can see why you wouldn't like Scott in a way, because I wasn't immediately captured by it. It was kind of way out there. I mean,
I love the song.
It's kind of polarizing because it's kind of crazy, but still that's why I like it, because he is a very unpredictable artist.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to really love that about him.
I mean, I like that too, and like I said, I think he's got great talent. I think he's got a really good voice. I just think that when you're gonna do a song like this, you need to make it on point or make it your own, and I don't think he made it his own. I don't think he put his twist on it, and I just don't think that the notes were as on point as they could have been. Some of those, when he went into the higher falsettos, the transition into them was just too awkward for me, and I just don't think that this particular song was a risk worth taking in this round for me. That's why, I mean, entertainment-wise, it was a great song, but I don't think singing-wise it was as on point as I think I would have liked it to be to place him higher.
Okay, I will grant you that the transition between the middle notes and the higher notes weren't as smooth as they should be, so that's why I didn't give him top performance, but I don't think he deserved that low of a position.
Yeah.
I mean,
It wasn't that low. It wasn't like last place.
Compared to everyone else. No, but you're still voting him out, so...
Well, I know, but I mean, it wasn't like he was my absolute last. And to be fair, in the back of my mind, I forgot there was so many people going home this time. So I technically thought he was safe at first, but I just couldn't put any of the higher ones lower. I just couldn't find a way to do it for me, so...
It's gonna be interesting to hear your opinion about those you place higher then.
Yeah, I know.
Especially considering where we put them.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
And Mark posted the final order now too. So, okay. Well,
okay.
I guess... it's not horrible.
No, I mean, are definitely ones that I was expecting.
Yeah. Guys, why can we never agree on Gabriel, by the way? We have literally never agreed on him.
Me and Nick agree.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, see, look, we're fine now. We're cool.
Yeah,
it's Mark that's like really out there. I mean, that was like, even though he's not voting, but at the same time, he showed us what he would have voted.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That would have completely changed the order, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would have.
So Mark, even though you're not voting, that's pretty interesting to hear. So how come you voted him top performance?
Well, I guess it works out in comparison to how some of the others were as well, and maybe we'll come into that. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, the first time I listened to it, I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough, because I saw some of the chat going on with it, that he would have pitched it lower to begin with, and it was a bit of a rushed little demo, and from my first listen, I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting, that works, and I'm kind of glad that he didn't pitch it down. I think it's shown a different side to him that I didn't know that was there, being able to put a bit of extra slant into a rock track. Kind of sketchy rock track, I guess, from the Frozen musical, but there you go.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, actually, that he managed to push his voice into the rock genre. It was interesting that he added a bit of growling in a part of the song.
That was my favorite part.
And he has such a piercing pop tone, so I like this more than usual, actually. I think he had good power in this song. I'm still hearing some pitch issues though, such as towards the end when he sang Don't Leave Me Alone, but there were not too many glaring issues in this song to me. But
yeah, and that's gonna happen. Like, when you've got someone who has a unique voice, they're not necessarily going to be technically perfect, because if they were, they wouldn't have that same uniqueness that makes them them, and you can kind of let them off not necessarily being pitch perfect as long as they add kind of any song he covers has a little sprinkling of Gabriel in it, and you either like that or you don't. And he's going to have a collection of fans and some people that just won't be able to ever get on board with him. And he's kind of brought me from one camp into the other going forward. Yeah, I think the things that make his voice work are maybe things where with a lot of coaching that would get coached out of him, and that would kind of ruin things for him a little bit.
Yeah, I think his nasality may have worked against him in this round, actually. I liked it, but I didn't love it. But I didn't vote him out this round, so that's a thing, I guess. But what do you mean that people with unique voices can't necessarily be on pitch all the time? Why is that a thing?
It's generally a technical thing. It really comes down to technique. If you are able to... There's probably a technical term that I don't know, but if you are a classically trained singer, for example, and you go and have your singing lessons and the usual, then you'll go through all the things that come along with it, chest voice, diaphragm breathing, and that sort of thing. And while everyone has their own little nuances that come along with it, in terms of how they would go and hit certain notes in certain songs, there will be similarities in it. Well, if you don't necessarily have that classical training and your voice doesn't necessarily fit into that box, then the way that you go about it will be different, and that gives you some different results. It's a bit like, not all guitarists who are, self-taught guitarists, for example, the styles and the way that they play and the way that they come across is completely different to someone that has had lessons from an early age and gone through and has become very technically proficient. Doesn't mean that they're not popular, but it doesn't fit into the standard mold of what you would expect.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense, but I think he can still learn to hit those pitches consistently.
Yeah, that will come with practice, but it's a case of polishing rather than completely losing his essence, really.
Yeah, I think if we were going to really understand why he got placed so high in comparison to the others, his Deliberation would never end, so...
Yeah, we probably need to move on to the others and it will make sense.
But what did you guys think about Gabriel?
So, my biggest thing is that I really felt that this song was not suited to Gabriel's voice.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that has to do with his vocal tone, his more nasally tone, which isn't bad because I myself have a nasally tone, so I would be a big hypocrite to criticize him on his tone. But I think he could have spent a little bit more time and done a bit of research into just some more singers that might be a little more suited towards his tone, like Vince Neil from Motley Crue, or Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses, M. Shadows, Avenged Sevenfold, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, Willie Nelson kind of stuff. Like, I think if he picked a song that was more suited towards his voice, I would have ranked him a lot higher, because this is from whatever side you look at it, either Idina Menzel or Panic at the Disco's version, this song is not really meant for someone who's got a really nasally right up there tone, and I wish he would have belted this out, because it's kind of along the same lines of Let It Go from the first Frozen movie. This one, you just gotta rate from your diaphragm and just push this song out, and it felt like he was just singing it at a comfortable volume, and I didn't feel any of the emotion that came from the original songs, or the original song. This song, it captures the curiosity, mystery, and internal conflict, and I felt none of that with Gabriel's performance. And I feel for the guy, I really do, because we saw that he was severely under the weather for this recording, and he gave it his all despite feeling like garbage, and I praise him for that, because that's awesome that he still went and recorded a song. But I didn't really like a lot of it, except for that part where he added that kind of growl, that kind of little teensy bit of emotion and intensity. I felt it for that brief little moment, but beyond that, I felt nothing.
I think he did put some power into this. I mean, it wasn't as powerful as, say, Nathaniel's, but it was power, at least more than usual. I think so. Yeah. How about you, Andrea?
Well, this was a hard one for me, because you know how much I like Gabriel and how much I think he improved this season. But I think it was you, Petri, who said something about the nasality kind of got in his way this time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because he was sick and maybe a little bit more heady than usual. But there were a couple, has anybody ever seen The Nanny with Fran Drescher?
Yes.
There was a couple moments where I could hear Fran Drescher trying to kind of coming out a little bit like that kind of tornado siren sound. He's going. I'm sorry, Gabriel. I love you. Please don't feel upset when I say that, but because I know you were sick, but that was the downfall for me. There was just too much nasality this time, and he was really pinching off a lot of notes, and there were just some times when there was that tornado siren, Fran Drescher sounding kind of moments that were it just didn't work with this, especially with this particular song. And what Nick said about Axl Rose, that is exactly kind of what I was thinking. I'm like, if he was going to do something like Welcome to the Jungle or something like that, it might have worked in his favor. This song just wasn't right, especially with all of the headiness he's got going on right now and with his natural nasality. So that's where I was in my ranking.
Yeah, that's probably why the nasality got overbearing, because of his sickness. So that's kind of a shame. Yeah. But what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, if he was feeling better, it would have sounded amazing, I think.
Yeah.
I still don't know. not with the with his natural nasality too. Would it have worked with this particular song? I don't think this was the right song for choice for him, even if he was healthy.
No, I think you have a point in that actually. And to be honest, he hasn't really been that consistent throughout the competition either. I mean, yes, consistent on his level, but not consistently high.
Yeah.
Performance-wise, for me at least.
He's improved, but he still has work to do.
Absolutely.
Can we just get Nathaniel out of the way?
Yeah, sure.
Because I mean, let's face it, I can't see any of us having really anything too negative to say.
No. I mean, holy mother of Gandalf.
I know.
Yeah, he really took this theme and ran with it. He has a classic rock tone this time. It was harder and he had grit in his voice.
Oh, yeah.
And those shrieking high notes. I mean, wow. And sustain at the same time. Holy shit.
Am I the only one who actually thought that at first that it wasn't really him? like literally you're kind of shocked. Like, is that him or is this like a troll? What's going on? That can't be really him.
I thought it was Dee Snider for a second.
Oh, really?
From Twisted Sister. He had a little bit of that tone in it. He didn't go...
Yeah.
It sounded like he went for more Dee Snider than Ronnie James Dio. It was interesting.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. I mean, I did. I was shocked when it... This is what and maybe this is why I placed Scott where I did. This is the performance I expected from Scott. And I got it from Nathaniel instead. And I mean, like I said, I was blown away by this.
This guy can do everything, it seems.
Yeah, this was what I wanted with this round. I really wanted...
Yeah, me too.
All the singers to kind of come out with this raw attitude and energy.
Yep.
And I was a little disappointed that some of the singers played it safe with some more lighter kind of sounding songs, but which is one of the reasons why I was happy with Scott, is because he took a risk and did something high energy. But man, Nathaniel, he just killed it.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
He understood exactly what was required this round.
Makes me wonder if we should have stuck with classic rock instead of just rock as the theme.
I told you, but...
Well, you did say it was okay, so don't blame me.
Hey, I said it was okay because I was overruled and I don't want to step on anyone's toes. But I like a classic rock is either so many great genres in classic rock that I think could have really fit a lot of voices. So if we would have narrowed the options a little more, it might have worked a little better for some people. But like I said, Nathaniel though, I still I must have listened to that cut like 3 or 4 times because it was so good. Mark, where did you place Nathaniel on your list?
3rd.
Okay, so what were the bad points that you didn't like?
This is a tough one for me. Most of the time, like 99% of the time, I'm fine. But with 1 or 2 artists, I struggle to be objective. And Ronnie James Dio is probably one of them. My first band played Holy Diver as one of the tracks. And I listened to him religiously for about 2 years, round about my teenage years when I was starting to play drums and that sort of thing. So I have listened to the original version probably hundreds of times for various reasons, practice and just for my own interests. And it's an artist that I've loved even while some of the people in my age group were more into Blink-182 and Green Day and Sum 41 and Avril Lavigne and etc. etc. So in comparison, it wasn't there for me all that much. There was a few issues where he goes up and down, where it should have been down and up or whatever, a little bit nitpicky. And there's some really, really strong stuff in there. I just wish it hadn't have been a Dio track and he'd sort of brought those skills to something else. But yeah, I think this is one of those things. There are some artists where it's a real struggle to take on, and when you're taking on someone who is arguably the greatest frontman for this genre that has lived and will ever live, then hey, that's tough shoes to fill.
10 seconds later.
Okay, so here
silence.
Voted down.
I agree with a lot of that.
Yeah, because of song choice. Okay.
Not necessarily. And compared against the original, there were some technical issues, but in terms of a rock cover and for bringing out some things that we didn't know he had in his voice and were maybe suspecting that he could not bring out of his voice and did, huge credit for that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I guess I still have a hard time reconciling. I mean, I know with Mark it really doesn't matter since he's not voting this round, but I guess I have a hard time reconciling how you put Gabriel ahead of Nathaniel.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
Nathaniel, even if you don't like even if you're like biased because this is like your ultimate favorite frontman and you're really nitpicky because you love this artist so much, I still can't see how you would put Gabriel ahead of Nathaniel just based on the technical side of it.
Yeah, I am in full agreement.
I'm going to spend a lot of time debating this when it is completely unrelated to the results. So,
okay, so to save time, let's just move on, I guess.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting. I just kind of wanted to know what's going on inside of his head, you know?
Yeah, me too. I can't hear it. I'm sorry. But okay. Nick, do you want to pick somebody?
I want to talk about Marcus.
Yeah, let's do that.
That was probably one of the most audibly interesting performances of the round. And it was, I thought that maybe he was going to try to go a little bit more rock-oriented with his tone, but he gave it a more, I don't even know how to describe it, like an R&B kind of vocal style. It was very smooth, and I honestly thought I was going to hate it, but I didn't mind it that much. I thought it was it almost sounded like if Soundgarden decided to bring Prince up for a song.
Okay.
You know, like,
okay.
But I'm not. Overall, I was like, I liked the approach, but the end result wasn't what I wanted to hear from the rock round. I didn't want to hear someone sing a non-rock, give a non-rock performance to a rock song. And this is my personal preference, but I do not like vocal trills. I think vocal trills are kind of like nails on a chalkboard when it comes to vocals, and it just irritated me.
Okay, well, I think Marcus tried to juggle many things this round. He tried changing his tone, dropping his voice like we talked about last time, and to add more dynamics and staying in pitch. And I think he dropped the balls. His lifts were amazing technically except for the pitch. He's going kind of sharp. But kudos to him for trying to make an otherwise boring song his own and more interesting. And he has beautiful vibrato and that high voice. But the result was kind of all over the place for me, like you said too. There were many unexpected notes in a bad way, and there was not enough rock in his voice, like you said. And he also skipped the big notes towards the end. He still gives more runs and vocal acrobatics than many of the others, and I kinda like that actually. But this time I think that worked against him. So how about you, Andrea?
Well, this is the one that I was really struggling with, kind of bouncing between the to the last spot and then where I ended up putting him. I must have like interchanged him like 3 or 4 times, because basically you just said everything that I would have said. I like the uniqueness in his voice. I like the tone of his voice, those little trills. For me, I like the trill once in a while, depending on the song. I don't think it worked in this song, but I do like that, and I like the vibrato in his voice. But I do think there was a lot of pitch issues, and I don't know what it was, but maybe it's just the way that it's coming out of my computer or something. But it kind of sounded like he was listening to the song on another device and singing and then recording on a completely separate device. It just didn't mesh together somehow. The mixing seemed off, and it kind of just, I don't know, it just wasn't on par with what I think he could do, and it just didn't give me a rock vibe. And so I really struggled with liking his voice, liking the uniqueness of his voice, liking the quality of his voice, and just not liking the song or this particular thing at all. And so I really had a hard time bouncing between him and Scott and where I was going to put them. And I kind of struggled with that because I wasn't happy with this entry, but I wasn't, I still like his voice. I don't know. It's one of those hard situations for me to, decide. This is like I said, one of the ones where I struggled. So,
yeah.
It's not the first time Black Hole Sun's caused a problem from last season as well. It was a bit of an issue. It's such an oddly placed track in terms of the feel of it and where the vocal sits. I mean, props to Marcus for trying to give us something a little different to what he's relied on, which I've kind of been hoping for. It just wasn't that well executed.
Yeah.
That cutoff at the end too really caught me off guard.
Yeah, and a lot of people had this issue. Maybe they don't know how to use a fade effect. I mean, that's not really difficult to use. So
yeah, it's very, very, very nitpicky from my perspective. But this is we're nearing the finals.
Was Kelsey did that. Kelsey, I think, was the one who did that, and it was really awkward because it was like mid-word.
Yeah, but
and it was like,
yeah, but at the same time, that is a really easy problem to fix in editing. So I don't think that should.
Yeah, I mean, but that's something that they should really, like if they know they're going to cut it off at a certain point, but they don't know how to make it sound good, and maybe they don't understand how to use the fade out, that's when you could reach out to the mentors and ask, like, hey, does anybody know how to do this to make it sound more natural so it doesn't sound so blunt?
Because we're getting to the point where we're getting close to the finals, and if the performances are neck and neck and one performer just took that little bit of extra 5 minutes to make sure that everything sounded pleasant for the judges, they're gonna win,
Exactly.
So it's, you got to take that due diligence, and the mentors are out there, so they can reach out to us, and it honestly takes just a couple minutes to do a nice proper sounding fade out. Not even, like 30 seconds.
Yeah, Heather did that too. So that was first pretty jarring to me, but then I realized that that's a really easy fix, so I shouldn't really care that much.
Yeah, I didn't count it for the fade out part. I didn't count it against them, but I did make a note that that's something that they need to definitely work on the next time if they make it to the next round.
Yeah.
Since I brought Kelsey up, how about talking about Kelsey? I am a huge Queen fan. I am just huge into Queen, and so this is one of my top 5 favorite Queen songs. I did like the little kind of a personal twist that she put on it, and it was definitely more dynamic and more energetic than I normally. I think I've said a couple times with Kelsey that I've had, I want more energy, I want more dynamics with her, and I think she definitely brought it this particular time. But you got to get kind of picky in some places, because I did hear a lot of flat notes, and she definitely has to watch, pinching off some of those notes there, especially at the tail end of a verse. But all in all, I think this was probably one of my favorite entries. Mostly, I think maybe because I just like Queen so much, but I really liked it. She just has to watch her pitch, and she was one that I said, it was so blunt, and literally in the middle of a word, it just stops, and it just, that was kind of awkward. So make sure you're utilizing a fade out feature, or ask one of the mentors if they know how to do it for you, because it just doesn't sound pleasant. But all in all, I thought this was, it wasn't my favorite performance of the episode, but I did like it.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna be more of a fan of her this time, because I know you love Queen, so I thought that was gonna work against her, because it's not easy to take on the god of singing, Freddie himself.
I know. But I mean, you know what? I don't care. Even if it's really bad karaoke Queen, there's something about Queen that even if you're a bad singer, it's just good, because it's Queen, and it's the music and the emotion. And for once, I think she really gave me that emotion that Freddie, I think, would appreciate. So it wasn't technically perfect. There were, like I said, there were some pitch issues she could work on, but I think that she definitely delivered the emotion. She delivered the energy, and I can really appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. And she was way more dynamic than usual too.
Oh yes, definitely.
And there was kind of subtle dynamics too, from powerful to more powerful. And not just about the volume, but about her tone as well, from open to nasal. So it made it fun to listen to. And it seems like she learned how to belt. So that's amazing. In the beginning of the competition, I didn't know she could do that. I felt though that she thrusted some of those low notes in the beginning, but those are just some minor issues to me. I really liked it.
Yeah, this one was really, really good. I thought she had a great tone. I thought she had really good control with her voice. I do agree that it was pitchy in some spots, so she's got to be really careful with that. And, kudos to her for trying to take on Queen. I would not be brave enough to do that myself, and I thought she did a really good job with that. She brought in the harmonies, which is detrimental to Queen. You have to have those harmonies when you're doing a Queen song. I thought they could have been brought up a little bit more, because the harmonies in Queen are always really, really, really prominent, and that's what gives it that Queen feel. But she still did them, and they were there, so that's mainly what I was looking for. I thought she could have used a little bit more compression on her vocals, because there were some of the louder parts that were just a little too loud, and I think a bit more compression would have brought it down a little bit, and also brought up some of the more quieter parts, and would have still added that nice little array of dynamics that she had with the song. And just be mindful of vocal noises that are left over. Like if you're recording a vocal track and there's actually just music going on and you're not singing, be mindful of lip smacks and harsh breathing and whatnot, because I did hear a few little lip smacks here and there in between her vocal phrasing, and that kind of started to irritate me a little bit during the song. And just watch out for those harsh cuts. Learn that fade out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Who haven't we talked about? Right, Ray. She has a really sweet voice in this. It was smooth and she has pretty runs, and I like that distorted crackling tone in the bridge. That's kind of like Claire used to do. Small things like that really add variation to a song. But I felt that she lacked major energy in this song. She actually sounded sad at times. She had pretty good energy at her higher notes though, but when she's going down, she's also going down in energy. It kind of sounds like she's begging to live while alive instead of being uplifting. And I also like more sustain in her singing. And she has had those issues in the past with energy and the lack of sustain, and those are coming back now, so that's pretty worrying. Maybe the pressure got to her this round, or what do you think?
Basically, I said everything you said. For me, it started off really good, and I'm like, wow, this is okay, you know, maybe, because you were always like a real big kind of like a cheerleader for Ray, and I was always kind of like, no, and I'm like, okay, that's the Ray that Petri is always been telling us about. I like this. And then we got to the chorus and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah,
she literally fell asleep. I mean, it's almost like she got exhausted by the time she got to the chorus, and she was like, I mean, I actually started yawning. I mean, I know I'm sick and I'm already exhausted as it is, and that did not help. I mean, I was just starting to feel so low energy, and that was the chorus is where she should have really punched it. I mean, that's where you rock it out, and it started to sound more like a rockabye, you know, so I don't know.
I mean, it can. I hate to say it, but it kind of sounded like she gave up or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it came across like she didn't want to do the rock round. And it kind of just sounded like she was going through the motions. As soon as I heard her first couple notes, I got really excited because it sounded like there was some attitude, and she was going to convince me that she's not going to let anybody tell her how to live her life. And that's what I was hoping for. But just as the song progressed, it just sounded like you just don't want to be singing rock. And there was a weird little audio glitch right at the key change, or not at the key change, a little bit into the key change, like right on the, I was listening through headphones, so right on the left side, just like a weird, just a little glitchy sound, and it took me right out of the moment. So you gotta review your track before you submit it. It's a big thing. You gotta watch out for that kind of stuff. And this is like an anthem. You have to give it life. You have to pour just about every ounce of your soul into a song like this, and there was just no energy from Ray, no desire to rock, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I could hear it at some parts, like her high notes mainly, but most of the time it was kind of sad.
Well, it's a shame really, because it's the first time that I've heard a 2-minute cover from her where I haven't got major issues about pitch or timing, but it's just so flat on energy. Like, it's kind of run its course with her, I think, that she's got to the point where now she's delivered technically what we'd want. It's so late in the competition that, you know, the talent that's still left has been doing that for a while and gives us the energy and gives us the dynamic that we want. And it's my favourite performance of hers that she's done, but it's in a rock round and there is no rock energy in it whatsoever.
Yeah. Now here's my question. Nick and Petri both said that it kind of felt like she gave up. Now, do you think that maybe it's that, not that she gave up, but it's that she was focusing so hard on correcting everything that we've been trying to get her to correct when it comes to like her pitch and her tonality and everything, that she just kind of forgot about the dynamic? Or do you just think that she kind of just phoned this one in?
Yeah, maybe that's the same thing as with Marcus, that he tried to juggle so many things, so many issues that he tried to correct that some of it fell apart.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing with Ray.
Well, the big issue I've raised with her is a timing thing, purely because she just misses cues. And if you miss a cue, that tends to throw you off more than anything else, because you're then trying to catch yourself up, and that's where your problems come from. So, possible, but getting your timing right should be the thing that improves your performance more than anything else.
Yeah.
So how about Trinity then? I think she has become a pretty solid artist actually. She has a lot of confidence and a pretty strong voice too, but this lacked a bit of grit for the rock round for me. She has that kind of same straight tone as she has in most of her entries, and she stayed in the same dynamic too, so it didn't feel like a musical journey to me. It was like she stayed in the same spot. But maybe that's the genre, and maybe it becomes more apparent with her kind of blank canvas voice. She has to change her tone for a lot of genres to work. And there were a couple of flat notes in this as well, again. But this wasn't the worst pitch I've heard from her. And I heard she kind of rushed this, so if she had more time, then maybe she could have fixed those. But I also think that throughout the competition, she has had a quite unreliable pitch. So I actually voted her out this round.
Mark,
and
you
it
were
was
gonna say
a
something?
really hard decision for me. I'm just gonna get that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that it's 100% the genre. It's a very trebly, thin-sounding kind of vocal on the original that is quite one-paced, if you like. Think sort of Avril Lavigne, Let Go kind of album time. I think we've kind of pushed Trinity towards that, actually, because I've maybe said I don't like that so much, but the general feeling is that actually that's the kind of thing that she should be going towards, I think, from the feedback that she's got. So maybe that's what pushed her into that song choice more than anything else, but that song has a certain kind of limitation in terms of what you can show unless you change it with how you approach it.
No, see, this actually for me was an improvement from the last episode. I just did not like the last episode at all, her entry, and I think this is more of the Trinity that I like. But that said, I think her voice is really, really suited for musical theater. I think she's got a very showy, show tune performance kind of a voice. And with the fact that keeping in mind that she is a pretty much of like a musical theater kind of a voice, I wish she would have looked into Meatloaf, because Meatloaf he basically created rock opera with all of his like Bat Out of Hell and Welcome to the Neighborhood and, you know, all of these really big show. They're almost like, I mean, they even created a musical theater based on Bat Out of Hell. So he is like a musical theater / rock / opera / really performance type piece. And I think she would have done really well with Meatloaf because it is that showy kind of a performance. And so for me, this was song choice more than performance. I think she should have gone with something that shows off her vocal quality a little bit more. And since her vocal quality seems to be more musical theater, in my opinion, I think Meatloaf would have been a wise choice.
I agree that she has improved this round immensely, but still I don't think she had that much of an interesting tone compared to the others that I put above her. So she really needed to change up her singing to really become an interesting singer to put in the semifinal to me.
Yeah, and you know, I could see what you're saying, and that's why I'm saying it's song choice.
Yeah, and especially with recurring issues with the pitch. She is having pitch issues again, and I don't think that's gonna fly this late in the competition. So yeah. Nick?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what I would have suggested for her, because I don't think pop punk was the way to go. Definitely a very high energy genre, so I appreciated the fact that she chose something a little bit more upbeat, but it's so one-dimensional in terms of the vocal style. I think it was Mark that described it. It's very just kind of trebly, and it just kind of just stays up there. There's no dynamics. It doesn't really venture anywhere, and it's just kind of it's more fun. It's just fun. It's fun, angsty music, and I think that's the fact that it was such a safe choice is what made me rank Trinity the way I did, is that I didn't hate it. There were some pitch issues here and there, and overall I thought she performed it well, but it didn't come across as any kind of special to me.
No, I agree. And I think you and I actually agreed on Trinity this time.
Yep, we did.
I feel that she's had 3 chances now. So how many chances is she gonna get?
Didn't you like her the last episode? Weren't you the one who thought she did? No, that was Mark. Never mind.
That was me.
That was Mark. Yeah. Of course that was Mark. Why wouldn't it be Mark? Of course. Of course.
Yeah, so she's had a star. She was pretty much out last time out, apart from a bit of heavy campaigning / harshness from me against someone else, which I'm still kind of amazed that went out and I actually said it and didn't just think it. That was bold, even by my standards.
Yeah,
even by your standards.
And then we keep raising the same issues constantly and they keep cropping in.
We just have one more left, and that's Heather. This is incredible. She has amazing power. She was so dynamic, and she used different voice states in this song, from her mask voice to her chest voice and her head voice, and seamless transitions between the 3. And amazing vibrato too. She has much more confidence now than she had in the beginning of the competition. Some pitch issues are creeping back in though, and the mixing was not fantastic. It was too much treble for me. But I was able to look past that though, and this was still a kick-ass performance. It was like in your face. I loved it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I thought this was a great track. I always get a little weary when people choose to do the Beatles because it's been so overdone. Just about everybody's covered the Beatles, so
yeah.
But Heather's performance kind of made me brush aside that skepticism I had, and there's certain points in the song where Paul McCartney really brings that kind of anger and scorn and kind of bitterness in his vocal tone, and I thought that Heather kind of kept that through most of the song, whereas Paul will kind of dip down and go back to a more sweet, kind of gentle emotional feel to it, and I liked that Heather kind of kept that little hints of anger throughout her entire performance, and I thought it added a different dynamic to her performance as a whole.
Yeah.
A little pitchy here and there, but I think most of the singers kind of had that, so it was tough to either bump someone up or down because of pitch issues, so something just for her to be mindful of if she makes it to the next round, but overall, really great performance with this one.
Yeah.
You guys pretty much covered it. I thought it was very soulful. I thought it was, minus a few pitch issues. Otherwise, I thought it was vocally on point. It was entertaining to listen to. There were some mix issues. I don't think it was mixed as well as it could have been, but to me, it didn't really drag it down that much, but I really enjoyed it. So I really don't have too much else to add since you guys pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, let's discuss our final order. I'm not sure the absolute bottom deserves that because I think they have improved this round.
It's it's getting harder every single
it's so
episode.
hard.
Yeah, I do not envy you guys with the upcoming rounds.
Thank you guys. This has been a very dramatic deliberation. No, I'm kidding. Not as dramatic as I thought it would be, but still a lot of tough decisions this time. But we have reached a decision.
Thanks for listening. See you soon with the result. All credits are in the description.